Hello, or Assalamu alaikum to my Pakistani Knimer friends. Hope you all are enjoying KNIME. As usual, today's episode is also short, brief, and sweet. I sincerely hope you all learned something today. Please be generous to comment and give feedback so that we all could learn from each other. Okay, so without further delay, let's begin today's learning. Today's episode is dedicated to the node called partitioning. We all learn on how to use this node in a way that will give greater meaning to our analysis that will help us and you and your managers to make better decisions and create wealth, profitability, growth, or reduction in expenses. Okay, so those of you who are new here, I want to give a full disclosure to them. I am actually a storyteller, and without story, I cannot begin anything. So today's story is about a father who, besides other things, also responsible for upbringing and education of his children. And same as most of us, he also wants to see his children above average. By the way, there is nothing bad about being average. Anyway, he was able to develop a reading habits for his children. Children grew and now need to learn and retain and utilize their learned skills. Soon they will be sitting for SS80 and they need to have a vocabulary bank to ace in the test. Now the dilemma is the father is kind of busy in preparing financial statements, budgeting, forecasting and other analysis at work. So he maintained a long list of vocabulary in Excel file, but he always forget on what he asked before or did he ask all the words and struggle with the sequence he should follow so that kids do not get bored due to repetition. Moreover, he don't have he don't have time to make a test and exhaust himself more after a busy day at work. He thought of using KNIME. To solve his issue, he utilized KNIME and showed the kids how selection, whether random or some other methodology, is made to test their memories. Kids loved it and developed an interest in learning. Okay, so what we will be doing here is that we will be kind of say developing a workflow in which we would be using 6 nodes, and those nodes are, as I say, that the main one would be partitioning. However, we will also be utilizing other nodes like Excel Reader, Rank, Column Filter, Column Resorter, Column Rename, and our main node partitioning. Going to the next slide. Okay, so the 6 nodes that I mentioned that we will be discussing today, the first one is Excel Reader. This node reads Excel files, Excel SX, Excel SM, and XLS format. There are some other formats like Excel SP or Excel MS something. Uh, KNIME does not read them. That's an unfortunate truth. Uh, the data is read and converted to the 9 type string integer, long, double, boolean, local date, local time, and local date and time. Upon execution, the node will scan the input file to determine number and types of the column and output a table with the auto guess structure and 9 types. The second node that we will be using is rank. The user must provide at least one attribute on which a rank should be calculated. The groups are determined by the unique value combination of the grouping attribute. The third node that we will be using is column filter. This node allows columns to be filtered from the input table while only the remaining columns are passed to the output table. Meaning that if there are 10 columns like column A, column B, column C, column D, and henceforth, and you don't want to have a column D in your selection, or you want only certain number of columns in your final output, then you can include them and exclude them from your selection. So one more thing that what I must have been done is that going back to the slide number 1, what I have done here is that I have, once you open the Excel reader node, you have to kind of say, select the file, right, and browse it in the same manner as you are uploading any file on any internet tool. And through the browse, you give the address or the location of the file. There are some other factors that you must consider is the selection of that what sheet you want to read. In case your file contains more than one sheet, by default, it will read only the first sheet. What you have to do is that, if you want the KNIME to read other than the first sheet or any other sheet that you want from your file, then you select the size sheet, right? So the first one is that by default, it is the first sheet. And if you want to give any other specific, then you select this option. And from here, the drop down menu will appear, and then you can select the sheet. Here is the overview that comes up, and then you could say apply and OK. Then you will add another node, which we already discussed is the rank. Because it's a vocabulary one, so the father has, the most logical way of ranking is the sequence, alphabetical. So what it does is that it says that, okay, choose the word and then put it in an ascending, right? So the ranking mode is selected standard, and then there is a one more column that if you want another column to be added with the rank, then you give the name of that one. You could give it a rank or a sequence number or whatever you like. Okay, so for column filter, as I say that there are some columns like sequence number, sentence, word meaning, and rank, right? So these 5 columns are available in the file. The father in our case doesn't want the serial number or the sequence sentence in the file. He just wants word, meaning, and the rank. And then he says, right? So this one is the one thing that I want to mention is that this enforce inclusion, enforce exclusion. I never come up with that. What is the reason for it? What I always understand that if it is in this column, even if you don't select, these columns will be there, and those columns which you have not selected, and if it is not selected, they will still be excluded. But anyway, this doesn't hinder us from our next section. Okay, so the fourth node is the column resorter. So this node changes the order of the input columns based on the user defined setting. Columns may be shifted in single step left or right, or completely to the beginning or end of the input table. This is some kind of a sorting that we use in Excel. Furthermore, columns may also be sorted based on their names. The resorted table is provided at the output. Okay, so in this case, what the father has done is that he put the rank, which is, you could say that now a sequence number or a serial number, and then the word and the meaning. So just consider a file that it's a serial number, then a word, and then a meaning. Okay. After doing this, then he selected the next column with column rename. The rename column names or change their type. So with this node, you not only can change the name, but also through this option, right? So a drop-down value, whether it's an integer value, double, decimal, or some other option that you want to use, date, format, and everything, you could use with the drop-down. So in this column, what the father is doing is that he's changing the name of the rank with the serial number, right? What he could have also done is that when he was going back to the second node of rank, here you could see that he gives the ranking attribute the name rank. Here he would have done is that directly here he could give in a serial number. But maybe most probably he hasn't done it because the serial number was already available and he want to exclude it first, then to add it. But anyway. Okay, so we were at the column rename, right? So the column rename, he gives the name, sequence is there, serial number, word, and then the meaning. Okay, the last and the final node for which the whole whole video is made is the partitioning node. This is a very important node, and this is the crux of this video. Okay.